Hello there, recipe decoders. Today I'm going to demonstrate an easy chocolate cupcakes recipe. And for this recipe, you'll need 1 1/3 cups or 190 grams of all-purpose flour, 1/4 teaspoons or 1 gram of baking soda, 2 teaspoons or 10 grams of baking powder, 3/4 cups or 50 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder, 1/8 teaspoon or 1 gram of salt, 3 tablespoons or 40 grams of butter, 1/2 cups or 320 grams of white sugar, 2 medium or large eggs, 3/4 teaspoon or 4 milliliters of vanilla extract, and 1 cup or 200 milliliters of milk. Start off by grabbing a large bowl and then add in the flour, baking powder, baking soda, unsweetened cocoa powder, and lastly, the salt. And then mix all of these dry ingredients together very thoroughly. For the stand mixer, I'll use a wire whip attachment for this recipe. First, we'll add in the butter, if anything gets stuck, just gently push it back down into the bowl. Go ahead and gradually add in the white sugar in parts until everything becomes light and fluffy. And then add in the eggs one at a time. Next, add in the vanilla essence. If anything is stuck on the sides, just push them back down into the mixing bowl. And now I'm going to add in the dry ingredients, but only about half of it. I'm also going to add in some of the milk as well, which has been heated in the microwave for about 5 to 10 seconds. Again, if anything is stuck to the sides, just push it back down into the center of the mixing bowl. Now add in the rest of the dry ingredients and add in the rest of the milk. Clean the sides once more. By this point, everything should be fully incorporated and ready to remove from the stand mixer. And what you should be left with is a thick batter. And now I'm going to use a tray able to hold up to 12 cupcakes at once, but first I line each hole with paper baking cups. And then gently pour the mixture in carefully, trying not to spill too much of the stuff. I poured each one to about 3/4 of a cup. Then, place the cupcake tray in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius for about 15 to 17 minutes. Well, this is the end result, and frankly, I don't like the way they came out. They look more like muffins rather than cupcakes to me. The original recipe suggests to pour the mixture at about 3/4 of a cup, which I think might have been a mistake. So, because I was determined to make them look right, I went ahead and made another batch. This time, I was also more prepared and decided to use a measuring cup with a half funnel to make pouring the mixture just a bit easier. And instead of pouring them at 3/4 a cup, I decided to pour them at 1/2 instead. And then, same thing. Bake in the oven for 15 to 17 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius. Once they're done baking, you can check with a knife or a toothpick. If anything runny or liquidy appears, then bake them for a couple more minutes. In this case, however, the cupcakes are definitely ready to come out of the oven. And I was a lot more pleased with how this batch came out. They aren't overlapping each other this time and stayed level to the tip of the paper cups. After cooling for about 5 minutes, I removed them from the trays, and by this point things were already done, but if you want to make frosting for them, keep watching. You're going to need 340 grams of confectioner sugar, 230 grams of butter, 30 milliliters of milk, and 4 milliliters of lemon juice. In our stand mixer, we're going to add in the butter first. Gradually add in the powdered sugar as well, in between mixing. You can do the same thing with the milk. And last, add in the lemon juice just to give it a bit of that lemony flavor. And once again, if anything is stuck to the sides, just push it back down into the center of the mixing bowl. And once it's nice and fluffy, you can stop mixing and remove it from the stand mixer. A friend of mine gave me this handy device and I thought it would be a good idea to review it. It's a silicone piping bulb, which you can use to pipe frosting onto your desserts without all the extra work of a typical piping bag. It's easy to assemble and clean, but my only complaint is that it's kind of small. Basically, you're going to want to grab a small spoon and simply shovel the buttercream frosting into the piping bulb until it reaches the lip. Then, set the rest of the frosting aside and cover the bulb with the lid. Then grasp the piping bulb with both hands, while pressing the bottom of the bulb with both of your thumbs. And then, just take your time with it, moving in a circular motion around the top of each cupcake. It doesn't have to be perfect. This piping tool is kind of just for beginners, and because it's so small, there's a lot more room for error. And that's pretty much it. Here's one of the cupcakes I left sitting in the refrigerator for a couple hours. The cupcake itself, along with the buttercream icing, is still rather soft to bite into. It's like eating any other ordinary cupcake, so I don't really have any complaints really. And here's one of the ugly cupcakes from the first batch. Nothing here is wasted, and they all practically taste the same. I guess the only good thing in eating from the first batch of these cupcakes is that there's more to bite into. And that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it and that the recipe comes out great if you try to make it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.